Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Deep Dive.
Good to be here.
So this is where we take that stack of sources, you know, articles, research, notes, all that stuff.
And really try to pull out the most important bits, the key insights.
Exactly. It's kind of like your shortcut to getting the real story right.
Mm.
Maybe with a few surprising facts. Hopefully enough to keep you hooked.
Yeah.
Today, we're going to be digging into, well, a really fascinating, but maybe often overlooked corner of India. A place that feels almost hidden, not really by geography, but maybe more by neglect. Is that the right word?
I think that captures some of it, yeah.
Think about this. A land, right, surrounded on three sides by Bangladesh.
Completely hemmed in.
Yeah, and it was a kingdom that, well, it kept its royalty longer than pretty much anywhere else in India.
Which is quite something.
It really is. And it's a place where you can still hear ancient tribal songs, apparently, echoing in the hills. And get this, there's a palace that literally floats on a lake.
Amazing, isn't it?
This is Tripura. So our mission today, really, is to kind of pull back the curtain, look at the history, the culture, the challenges, too, of this, well, hidden royal gem.
And I think what's really fascinating here for you listening is thinking about how a place with such a rich history, such a vibrant culture, can somehow stay so far from the national headlines.
Right.
We're going to try and unpack why that might be.
Okay, let's unpack it then. Tripura, as you said, one of India's smallest states.
Tiny, really, on the map.
Tucked right away in the northeast.
Yeah.
But yeah, don't let that size fool you. The stories here are, well, they're pretty grand.
They absolutely are. And, you know, to really get Tripura, you have to understand its timeline is just different.
Different how?
Well, for centuries, it was ruled by the Manati dynasty. We're talking way back, like the 1400s.
Wow, okay.
And even under the British, it stayed a princely state. It only integrated into India in 1949.
49, so after independence.
Exactly. And if you think about the bigger picture, that late integration, it really shaped its identity profoundly.
How so? Like, what did that mean practically?
Well, it meant it kind of missed some of that first wave of post-independence homogenization, maybe. Certain traditions, languages, even social structures had more time to just persist.
Ah, okay. So it sort of preserved its uniqueness for longer. Like a time capsule almost.
In a way, yeah. And you see that reflected in some incredible places.
Like near Mahal. I mean, the notes on this. A grand white palace floating on a lake. It sounds like something out of a fairy tale.
It really does. Near Mahal. Right in the middle of Rudra Lake.
Rudra Lake, right.
It was the royal summer getaway. And the architecture is this amazing blend, you know, Hindu and Mughal influences. It's like, a dream carved in stone and water. Speaks volumes about the Manikya's vision, I think.
Definitely ambition. And then there's Unakoti. That sounds completely different.
Oh, completely. Unakoti is this ancient pilgrimage site kind of hidden away in the forest.
Hidden away.
Yeah, and you find these huge faces, these figures of gods carved directly into the rock faces of the hills with these wide eyes and like tangled hair. It feels ancient, like something from a lost civilization almost.
Giant stone faces in a forest. It really paints a picture, doesn't it? Which brings up that question again. Why haven't more people heard of these places? Near Mahal? Unakoti?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Is it just that they're hard to get to? Or is it something else, like a lack of focus on the Northeast's heritage, maybe?
It's probably a bit of both, honestly. Geography, yes, the remoteness plays a part. But also, the historical narrative of India often focuses elsewhere, you know?
Sure.
So these wonders, incredible as they are, they kind of remain in the shadows. But it's not just about the buildings and the carvings. The human element is incredibly rich, too.
Yeah, the tribes. You mentioned over 19 different tribes.
At least, yeah. Each with their own distinct languages, customs, rituals. You've got the Tripuri, the Ring, a Chakma, just to name a few.
It's amazing that level of diversity in such a small state. And their way of life described here, dancing during harvests, worshiping nature, passing down legends orally.
Exactly. It's a very different rhythm to, say, mainstream urban India. And what's really fascinating here is how many of these tribes have lifestyles deeply connected to the rivers and forests. It's not just quaint folklore. It shapes their entire social structure.
How so?
Well, one really surprising fact that came up in the sources is that some communities actually pass down inheritance through the mother's line.
Matrilineal. Like in Meghalaya.
Precisely. Similar systems. And that's quite different from much of mainstream Indian society, right? It just gives you this glimpse into really diverse ways societies can be organized.
Absolutely fascinating. But looking through the notes, it's clear Tripura isn't just about, beautiful palaces and unique cultures. There are some historical scars, too.
Yes, definitely. Like many places affected by huge historical shifts, Tripura carries those scars. A really big one was after partition in 1947.
Right, the influx of refugees.
Exactly. Thousands upon thousands of Bengali refugees came into Tripura from what was then East Pakistan, now Bangladesh.
And that must have caused a massive shift.
Oh, huge. It completely changed the demographics, the politics, everything. And it created some really deep, long-lasting tensions between the indigenous tribal populations and the newcomers.
Which led to, a pretty difficult period, didn't it? Unrest, insurgency, struggles over identity.
It did. There was a significant period marked by that conflict and instability. It's an important part of the story, that tension.
But the sources also stress that today Tripura is rebuilding, moving forward.
Yes, very much so. While you can't erase history, there's been a real shift towards, healing those divides and focusing on development, using its unique resources, its culture for sustainable growth. It's quite a turnaround, actually.
And you can apparently feel that in Agartala, the capital. The descriptions paint a picture of real energy.
Yeah, a buzz. It's described as this interesting mix, isn't it? That sort of Bengali hustle combined with a calmer tribal influence.
Yeah, bamboo stalls along the roads, kids speaking both Kakburuk, the main tribal language, and Bengali. Music coming from tea shops. It sounds like a really unique blend.
A living mix, yeah. A testament to that rebuilding process.
So it all circles back to that initial question, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we hear more about Tripura? Is it just too far off the beaten path, too far from the Delhi headlines? Or maybe, just too quiet?
Perhaps. Maybe it's not that Tripura is forgotten exactly, but maybe just waiting. Waiting to be remembered or rediscovered by people who are curious enough to look.
That's a nice way to put it.
And maybe that raises a question for you, the listener. What other hidden gems, what other stories are out there just waiting for us to look a little closer, dig a little deeper?
It's a great point. There's just so much out there beyond the usual places we hear about. This deep dive has definitely, for me at least, helped remember or maybe discover for the first time a truly unique